What is up, everybody? Figured I'd hop on early. We've got a bit to go. It looks like about 26 minutes until the premiere goes live. We're going to be watching IGN's reveal today of the Syndicates in Star Wars Outlaws. I've been catching up on their IGN first series the last few days. They've got some good exclusive interviews and stuff, covering a lot of cool stuff. It's kind of a mix and match of stuff we've seen elsewhere as well, but they've got some exclusives. So today we're going to be talking about syndicates. I just published a video this morning, which was the one I watched last night, or yesterday afternoon, which was covering the reputation system, the wanted system. There was a brief mention of syndicates in that video, but we're supposed to be getting the full overview today. But the idea essentially, as far as I can tell, it does look a lot like the Red Dead Redemption 2 um, system, more so than anything else. Although it has blendings of like the Cyberpunk 2077 system and the um, Grand Theft Auto system, where the stormtroopers, the Galactic Empire, essentially, if you get on their radar, they start sending stuff after you. And in the video they were talking about, eventually you get I think they called it a death squad, gets sent after you, and if you kill the death squad, you can clear the wanted status. Um, I'm assuming you can also hide out and stuff, but that sounded pretty cool to me because it gives you an alternative to, I think you can also go like hack. I think in one of the videos they showed hacking a satellite station to throw a bounty off your tail. Um, so that video went live this morning, and it sounds to me like, if I had to guess, especially if you've played um, the Division or the Division 2, but Ubisoft does this in most of their games. But considering Massive is the company doing it, that's why I want to reflect back to Division 1 and 2. I have not played the Pandora game they did, the Avatar game they did, which I didn't realize was them until like a week ago. But traditionally, their games and Ubisoft games in general have a massive amount of fluff content, side content to do. I'm looking at you, Star Wars, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Um, the There's gonna be lots of stuff to do behind the main storyline. Is it behind my head? It might be behind my head. 23 minutes till the reveal. Um, So I'm anticipating if we want to do a completionist run, it's going to be lots and lots and lots of side activities, which are great for streaming, because it's not something where you have to be hyper focused on main storyline elements. It's more like here's a fetch quest, and it sounds to me from what we heard about the reputation video, that deep dive into the reputation system. The way they're doing that is when you start off and you're hated by a syndicate, you have to start at the bottom doing shit jobs and you have to work your way up. And they were talking about how the earliest missions give you lots of rep but not a lot of coin. But as you earn your way up in reputation, you start earning less reputation and more coin, and eventually you get specific items as well. So it's going to be interesting to see um, how that all pans out long term, but it sounds to me like there's going to be a ton of activities to do. Thanks for the resub over on Prime Babylonia, 9 months in a row. Woot woot. For those of you watching today, I am live streaming on YouTube and Twitch, so you get to watch where you want, to support where you desire. Thanks to those of you who can and do. What's up, generally speaking? Good morning. Oh, I'm still torn on whether or not to spend the money to get the early access to this game or not. Um, I'm not going to worry about it until later. And the reason I say that is because The War Within starts August 22nd. And I've got, or for me anyway, because I've got the Epic Edition. And then the launch is the 26th. So I'm gonna probably hold off on the early access for Outlaws simply because um, we should be able to farm quite a bit of good World of Warcraft coverage since I'm going to be going out of the gate with that. Um, and it just depends on how that's going. If it's going good, then I might just pop in the day before and pick up the Epic Edition or whatever it is, and you know, get the early access. It's 3 days of early access, but man, it's not cheap. Like, I feel for Starfield, it was much cheaper to get the premium edition, which also came with an art book and early access, but it wasn't, like double the cost. I would have to go back and look, but I think it was like $100 for the premium edition, which was the launch. This is for Starfield. I need to go back and check that price, but it was the digital art book, the Shattered Space expansion, early access for 3 days, and whatever for like $100 or something. And the Ultimate Edition of Star Wars Outlaws is quite a bit more. Um, but there's stuff in there that's worth it in the long run if you want the seasonal content, the future DLC, the art book, and all that kind of stuff. I may end up doing it. Still haven't decided. It's a tax write-off, so I'm not too stressed about that. I'm more just looking at the timeline as it coincides with the War Within launch, because I need to make sure I get the most out of that for the first 5 or 6 days and then switch over. We'll see. We still need launch dates for Avowed, Indiana Jones, the Veilguard, Dragon Age Veilguard. But it's going to be busy. We've got, I don't know what I'm going to do yet after Star Wars Outlaws, because there's Stalker 2 and Space Marine 2. And both we're going to play. They both launch within like a week of each other, and like a week after Star Wars Outlaws. So we'll have to take a look at which one of those we do um, after Outlaws. But I know some of the crime syndicates they've mentioned so far are the Hut Cartel, obviously the Pike Cartel. I don't have a list in front of me, so we're gonna listen to the presentation today. Goes live in 19 minutes, it looks like. Going to Jabba's palace. It's gonna be good. Someone left a comment, of course, is a Syndicate in Assassin's Creed. Called the Outlaws. That's the other thing is I don't know whether or not I'm going to do this on the Xbox Series X or the PS5 yet. I haven't heard one way or the other that it's going to matter. Authentication key was tied to your other account. That sucks. I had to go through that with Discord one time. I did not save my recovery code in the place that I thought I saved it. It's all in the cloud now. But I lost my phone. This has been years ago now when we were still living in the city. We were getting on a metro bus in Mexico City, and it was the same run we'd done, you know, 30, 40 times going to the supermarket. And it was a voting day, and we had forgot that it was a voting day, and we were getting on, and like there were so many people we just couldn't get on, and so we were like, well, let's just not worry about it. So we went to back off and the door closed and my right leg was still in the door and it's got like the rubber bumpers. I lost a shoe and fell backwards, like somebody was pushing my foot through the door from the inside and a few people from behind pulled me out, but lost my shoe and my phone fell down and disappeared forever. um, and I had Discord tied to an authentication key which was on the phone. Didn't have that phone anymore. um, it wasn't the code, sorry, that I lost, but the authentication key. So I had to go do the whole hop, skip, and a jump to get that back. So crime gangs in Star Wars Outlaws. One of the things I really appreciate that they've shown so far, well, they've talked about, I don't know if they've shown, is how landing pads are only able to be used if you have the faction, like if you're on the good side of the faction with one of the syndicates. So they all control various regions, various planets. So it's going to limit your fast travel a little bit unless you've got your faction up with those guys, which I found to be very interesting. And they mentioned in the video we did this morning um, how anytime you're in a syndicate's region where you're not an ally, you're viewed as an outsider, um, everything counts as theft. Now the question I had was, well, is that visible theft or every item you take from there gets you in trouble? Because if it's just visible, like it is with like say Skyrim or Elder Scrolls Online or something, I mean, yeah, I'm in somebody's camp and I probably shouldn't be taking their stuff, but did they see me take their stuff? Because if they didn't see me take their stuff, did I really take their stuff? Um, and I don't know how it's gonna work, so maybe we'll get some more coverage of that today, um, in terms of how activities are going to work within the syndicate's territories. What I didn't know until yesterday was that the wanted system is separate from the syndicate bounties. So you could have bounty hunters pursuing you and the Empire at the same time and find yourself constantly getting bombarded with like those random encounters like what you would see in I think most recently in Starfield you can get bounties sent after you. um, was the most recent game I played where there's a bounty system. But Red Dead Redemption 2, for sure. Having the posses come after you and the bounty hunters, it's never a good thing, man. Everybody's out to get you. Watching one of my cats over here. Smeagol, do you want to come over here? He's ignoring me. He's taking a bath. What's up, buddy? August 30th. What day is August 30th? Ooh, it's a Friday. That's gonna be a fun Friday, everybody. It's gonna be a fun weekend. And we still haven't been given any word about what the size of the storyline campaign is. If I had to guess, um, well, we could even look at how long was their Avatar game? About 24 to 25 hours in length for the main storyline, and about 80 hours for 100% completion. I kind of would anticipate to see the same here. Um, in terms of probably getting 25 to 30 hours of main storyline. It seems like a good ballpark to shoot for. And then if you go the completionist route, doing all of the traditional side quests that Ubisoft has in their games and that Massive has put in their other games, um, you can get 85 hours out of it, which that's good. I think when I did Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it was close to 60. It was like 56 or 57 hours. And Origins, I did, I think, like 82 or 83 my first run through, and then I went back and did like expansion packs and did like a 150-hour playthrough with um, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I love that game. I like Valhalla a lot, but and the Valhalla game has a lot of stuff heritage-wise for me, which I appreciate. But I like Greek mythology, or I know more of Greek mythology more than Norse mythology. So Origins was a game that hit a little more close to home. And there was something that they did with Origins and Red Dead Redemption 2 at the same time where you could turn the compass off. I'm wondering if they're going to have that sort of immersive optional UI elements in this game, or if it's just one of those things where they're always going to have it on. I don't care one way or the other. It's just a curiosity because I haven't actually paid attention to the UI in a lot of the videos, and I know that they've been pretty forthcoming when they've got new things to show. So they probably just haven't mentioned it. It's probably not a thing. It's probably just me projecting. But I do love the. It looks like you've got a stun setting and a regular laser setting, as well as your companion Nyx who could do things. Um, so it's gonna be interesting how because they've got three different spec trees to figure out how you want to go. Um, I think is what I saw. Far more into Greek mythology than Valhalla, says Babylonia. Yeah, I think it was just because I grew up just fascinated with Greek and Roman mythology. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I really got into the Norse, understanding Norse mythology a little bit more. But I'm really happy too about the time, the the setting that this game is in, because we're at I think they said at the end of the Empire Strikes Back. So right between that and I don't know how many years before Return of the Jedi we're gonna be. But I'm on board for all of it, man. Classic stormtroopers, classic Star Destroyers. Um, I watched the prequel trilogy before I went on my trip, and now that I'm home, I'm gonna watch the original trilogy. So this is the perfect time for me to go through and watch The Empire Strikes Back. In the next couple of weeks as I continue my Skywalker Saga watch through, and I can reacquaint myself with scruffy nerf herders. 9 minutes to go, everybody. I don't know if I should get another cup of coffee. I've had like three already. I've been up since 2 a.m. So as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to take a nap. Yeah, and I think the aesthetic of what the Empire Strikes Back set to, there's a lot of like Cloud City, the look and feel of that, the look and feel of the costumes. Um, it's got a very unique look and feel to it. I mean, the prequel films were much more like clean, if that makes sense. And we got, they were dealing a lot more with CGI effects, whereas with the original trilogy, it was all practical. So it felt a little more gritty, a little more real, and it seems to have carried over pretty well with the scenes that we've seen so far, of them walking through planets and stuff. This is when the empires at their most dangerous. Yeah, pretty much. I am glad we're getting something that's set here. I've been quite enjoying the Acolyte. It's really interesting to see what they're going to do with the High Republic era. We already have the Old Republic era. It would be great if we ever get some stuff, but I've heard interviews and discussions where people at the top have said, in terms of the Old Republic, there are enough stories out there, that we don't feel the need to retell them. Todd Howard has made the same remarks about like Fallout. He considers the Fallout show to be another entry into the Fallout series. And they were asking him about like Fallout remakes, and there was a discussion about how don't really see the need to remake all of these things all over the place all the time. Occasionally do things, but um, there's like lots of entries into the canon, and it's not always just a video game. You know what I mean? And so Disney does that more so than almost anybody else, in the sense that Star Wars is, and George did this before Star Wars, before Disney. Star Wars is in lots of places: television, um, comic books, tabletop games, all sorts of video games, arcade games, etc. Um, well, I mean, they totally remade Skyrim, so it's not like they're totally against remakes. Just has to make sense, I guess. But I do appreciate Star Wars having so many entry points into the various stages, whether it's the Old Republic, the High Republic, dealing with the Clone Wars era, the Empire era, and I don't even know what they call the new trilogy. I don't know what era that's called, to be honest with you. The First Order? It's the First Order. Is it the First Order era? I mean, I don't know what you would call that. I'm gonna go look it up now because it's gonna drive me nuts. Someone out there's gonna be, you're not really a Star Wars fan. It's the Rise of the First Order, right? Okay, hang on. Dawn of the Jedi, the Old Republic, the High Republic, Fall of the Jedi, Reign of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, the New Republic, Rise of the First Order, New Jedi Order. Okay, there it is. So there literally is a website that you can go to. StarWars.com/eras. And they've got links to most of them. I've never been here. I haven't been to a Star Wars website in years. Whole bunch of cool stuff here. Dennis says, I feel fortunate I don't even play a Star Wars fan on TV. I can ask the dumbest questions with complete freedom. There's no such thing as dumb questions. By the way, everybody, we got a premiere. It's 3 minutes out. We're 3 minutes out. As long as you show up with the willingness to enjoy the ride, that's the only thing that matters. I preach it all the time, but let the inner child thrive. I think if you can't find the joy in watching a lightsaber deflect blaster bolts, if that doesn't make your little 5-year-old child inside of you shout for glee, you probably have something broken inside of you. The Force has always been a powerful motivator. It's who hasn't played lightsabers growing up, or it's it's a cultural thing, man. All right, as we get going, everybody, we're about 2 minutes out from the premiere. Don't forget, we are live on YouTube and Twitch, so you can choose where you want to watch and support. I am going to be playing the hell out of Star Wars Outlaws once the game goes live. I still haven't decided if I'm going to pre-order or not. We talked about that earlier. The Ultimate Edition, or if I'm just going to wait for the launch edition. We'll see. It also depends on if I get a press copy too. Um, I haven't reached out, but I also haven't seen any campaigns show up on Keymailer or Lurk It yet. So I don't know if this is going to be a game where they're just not, they might not be doing those outlets. You might have to reach out to them directly, and I don't do that. If a campaign comes up on one of the websites, I'll pursue it, but I typically don't pitch. Not for a free copy of a game. I'll pitch for paid stuff, but otherwise I just buy it. All right, premieres in 60 seconds. Hopefully we'll be able to maximize this here pretty quick. Bum 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 bum. I wonder if they bothered to change the default premiere thing, or if they just left it with the horrible loud default music, which is 10 times louder than the volume of the videos usually are. About to find out. Yep, that's the way I look at it. If I get a freebie, cool. If not, it's tax write-off. And I will take as many of those as I can. All right, we should be going live any second now. Let's do this. Come on. Just waiting for the clock to turn. All right, it is 10 a.m. I'm going to refresh it real quick. I got an ad, so there we go. Oh, they did change it. Good on them. They used the sci-fi entry. I'm proud of them for doing that. Bravo. This is the one I use for all of my premieres. It's a very functional sci-fi opening. The music is subtle. It's not too loud. You can do 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute intros. Looks like they're going with the 1 minute one.
You for lunch.
Star Wars Outlaws takes scoundrel Kay Vess on a planet-hopping adventure as she goes in search of one big heist that will get her out of the trouble she finds herself in. Set between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, the Imperial forces are at the peak of their powers and will naturally serve as an enemy faction. But more integral to the Outlaws experience are the crime syndicates that Kay will encounter and the scum and villainy that comes with them.
Scum and
throughout
villainy,
the galaxy,
baby.
each has its own story to tell and, more importantly, can be used to Kay's benefit when you see fit, thanks to Outlaws' reputation system.
Love it.
Across all of them, there's fierce rivalries that Kay is going to have to navigate, and the player is going to have to engage with the reputation system in order to get what she wants.
You're not friends, you're not employed, you're not pledging allegiance, you're someone surviving.
Look at
and
that
trying
shot,
to grow
baby.
a name, reputation in this world, and think of them as a little bit of means to an end. What do they have to offer and what do I need and want right now?
We've delved deeper into the gameplay impact of the reputation system and how you can manipulate the syndicates earlier in this month's Star Wars Outlaws IGN First. But who are these syndicates? We talked to members of the development team at Massive Entertainment to learn about the visual design of each and their place in the world of Star Wars Outlaws.
Nice. Here we go. Tell us more about the syndicates. Yeah, the Hutt Cartel. It's both the most famous.
Perhaps the most well-known of the Star Wars criminal syndicates, the Hutts are led by everybody's favourite giant slugman, Jabba the Hutt.
Is what part of a
Bib
service,
Fortuna,
Dennis?
Salacious Crumb, and other hilariously named cronies,
Salacious
they
Crumb.
first appeared in 1983's Return of the Jedi as the crime lords of Tatooine. Straightforward and not afraid to dispatch with anyone who plays games with them, they love galactic credits and the power they bring.
The idea with the Hutts is really what you see is what you get, right? They aren't afraid to use force.
Big,
they
slimy
take what they want, and they are just incredibly
slugs.
powerful.
Jabba the Hutt, very famous character in the Star Wars galaxy. And so the Hutt Syndicate is definitely inspired by that. So
Look
you
at this,
will
we're going
see
into Jabba's
posters,
palace,
and you'll
man.
see characters that you know from the movies as well,
Bibs
the Morian
Fortuna.
Guards, for example. But their look is definitely Tatooine inspired. I think it's interesting to say that the Hutts have probably the most dirt and wear and tear on their clothing of all the syndicates. You will find them on different locations as well. All the syndicates, you know, they have power
Oh, look at that
goes
lizard,
beyond
man.
the planet where they're from.
The Pike Syndicate. Yeah, Dennis, YouTube has
The
a whole bunch
Pike
of
Syndicate
intros
will be
you
a
can choose for
recognisable
premieres.
name to anyone who watched the Book of Boba Fett or Star Wars The Clone Wars TV
That's
series.
like a generic
but
sci-fi
don't
one.
expect them to look exactly how you remember.
They have a very distinctive look. They are pikes, but they're different from the pikes you've seen in different shows, for example, because it's a different group.
I love
So
the
in their
artwork
design,
behind her when
we
you see
really
Nyx
went
holding onto the
into
back of
a
the
different
speeder.
direction with color palette, so they have a lot more dark blues, but also we went really into more of a graphic design for them. So you will see the helmets they
That
wear and the
image right
clothing
there.
they wear. They have different patterns,
Freaking love
which
it.
will show which rank they are, like which group they belong to. So
I
they
love-
will be very distinctive in that sense.
We've
as
seen
well.
the Pike
They're not
cartel
as
before.
organized, I would say. as
They've
a
got some
military
frame
group, but
issues
they
in
do
their,
have different units that have
in the
different
footage.
weapons, for example, different skills, and you will see
Somebody's
distinction
video
in that.
editing is
Through spice production and trading, the Pikes amassed a fortune from their home world of Obadiah. But by the time of
Oh,
Outlaws,
that looks
the
frickin'
Syndicate
amazing
finds
right
itself
there.
spread out throughout the galaxy, including an operation on the freshly created moon of Tashara.
The
Tashara.
Pike Syndicate is incredibly wealthy and powerful in this time period, and we sort of center around their underboss Gorak, who is very much in charge of Pike operations on the moon of Tashara. Tashara
God, that looks
is
sexy
under
as hell, man.
Imperial control, just like the rest of the galaxy. We get to see
I'm
the
gonna lose
corrupt
my
side
soul
of
with
that
this
because
game,
the
guys.
Pikes have worked out a deal with the Empire there, where they get to do what they need to do, and the Empire always gets its cut.
Fueled by an unrelenting desire to turn profits, no matter what moral lines may need to be crossed, the Pike's love of luxury and all things shiny is best demonstrated in the appearance of Gorak.
We really wanted him to look very much like the boss, so he's much bigger than the regular Pike characters that you would
That's
meet.
not me, by
He's
the way.
definitely
That's
not the
their
one who
footage
fights.
has
He's,
some
he's the
frame
one
rate
who tells
issues.
people
I'm
what to
assuming
do.
whoever
He
did
has
the
also
editing.
a lot of jewelry. He's
There's a
very
few
rich.
clips
We
they've
really
used so
wanted to tell
far.
a
That's
story.
not me.
You definitely see Gorak is the leader.
Tell the governor the payments will not increase.
The Crimson Dawn.
As more Star Wars stories are written, the more important Crimson Dawn's influence in the galaxy appears to grow. Led by Lady Kira, Emilia Clarke's character
That
from
right there.
Solo: A Star Wars Story, Crimson Dawn is the syndicate responsible for auctioning off Han Solo's frozen carbonite wall decoration in the comic books, a prize won by Jabba and the Hutts, who outbid the Pike Syndicate. A mysterious organization operating in the shadows of power, many of Crimson Dawn's intentions remain shrouded when it comes to Outlaws story.
Steal the relic,
This is a
disable the energy
restricted
barrier.
area. You need to back away right now.
Fine, I hear you.
Narrative director Naveed Kavari gives us some hints, however, noting that the Syndicate is really focused on intelligence spreading and aligning a bit of the wider network of organised criminals.
Crimson Dawn, especially if you look at some of the wider media, is up to something very, very interesting that I'll leave to others to explore and dive into, but this period is very, very important in terms of the character Kira.
The shadowy nature of the group is reflected in their visual design, allowing them to blend into any location
So
they
they're
might
gonna
find
expand
themselves
on her
in,
character
but also
in the
place
lore
their
here,
stamp when they
probably.
want to make their presence known.
You will
That's gonna
be able
trigger
to
some
meet them
people.
in certain
Only the
places,
movies
and
are
it's not
canon.
always always necessarily a place that's entirely theirs. Maybe they took over someplace. So we try to really show that layer of, okay,
Oh, I
Crimson
love
Dawn
you could
took over
send
this
Nick
place. Now
in.
you can see certain
Distract
elements of
him.
them on top of
He
something
plays
that
dead.
used to be something else. They're
God,
more
this combat looks
fashionable, I would
amazing.
say, compared to the other syndicates. And we try to translate that as well in their clothing. But they're also very undercover in the shadows. You would not see them if they would stand somewhere in a corner and just observing things. So their clothing is very practical, but very clean as well. Cleaner than any of the other syndicates. Really to show that
They're
they
more
have
professional.
access to better materials. And it's maybe also part of their style.
The Ashiga Clan.
The Ashiga Clan is a new syndicate created by Massive in collaboration with Lucasfilm, and can
Okay.
be found on the freezing planet of Kijimi, one of 5 playable planets and moons in Star Wars Outlaws and last seen in The Rise of Skywalker.
Nice.
Although brand new when it comes to Star Wars canon, those more knowledgeable about the galaxy far, far away
That
might
looks
be
amazing.
familiar with the alien species they hail from.
I like
They're
the
completely new, but
the
we
art
did
style
use
here.
an existing species called the Melito for the Ashiga Clan. And there's many different aspects on them. First thing on the Melito is that they don't have vision, they don't have eyes, so they use different senses. And that was really interesting to design, like a whole syndicate that doesn't use eyesight. So all of their designs have a lot of
It's like
tactile elements. They're based on Kijimi. In the areas they control, you can see
that
these
Apple
lines on the floor.
TV
It's sort of
show,
their way
See,
of navigating, feeling
with
around
Jason
almost
Momoa.
where to go. Their
A future
style
where everyone's
really
blind.
connected to Kijimi City. We wanted to show that they've been there for a long time, so the city itself influenced their look as well. And as Kijimi City
that looks
is
awesome right
heavily
there.
inspired by samurai movies, and it has a lot of these Japanese influences, we use the same sources of inspiration for the Ashiga Clan as well. And you will see that in their silhouettes that have a lot of references to samurai armor or kimono type of clothing.
The insect-like nature of the Melito race not only provided some interesting visual challenges for the team, but also influenced how the syndicate is structured and what its goals include. Whereas others such as the Pikes, Hutts and Crimson Dawn value money, power and information as ways to grow their influence,
I like
the
the
Ashiga
sound of the
Clan
Crimson
is much
Dawn,
more
man.
focused on
I
itself
like
and its
information
small
networks.
pocket of the galaxy.
I've got a few of those that I've created for RP campaigns and books.
Ashiga Clan are really interesting because they follow this very strict hierarchical structure. They are made up of a insect-like species that every single member of the Ashiga Clan is serving the wider group under the control of Queen Ashiga, more than any other syndicate, where you might have some characters, some subordinates, you know, off to their own
It's been a long
devices.
time since I've
In
read
the
Star Wars
Ashiga,
comics.
they are serving the queen, and that's it. And that gave a really fascinating dynamic.
They have a strict code of honor, they're very like a hive mind, and they have one very powerful queen who is in charge, so there's definitely references to that as well in the way they organize their locations, for example, which will remind a little bit more of an anthill. Ashiga Clan is really trying to keep the control over Kijimi, which is a very important city, and trying to really get their revenue through that. They're also a syndicate that you will maybe encounter less on different locations because they are so connected to the city. So it's really their power over the city is what gives them their meaning.
Okay.
We have decided.
Zeric Bash.
Sitting outside of the reputation system is the Zeric Bash, a mysterious syndicate that serves as Outlaw's primary antagonist. Where you'll be able to interact with the other 4 crime gangs and forge and break bonds of your choosing as the story progresses, the Zeric Bash serves more as a distant looming threat. They are run by Slero, a man who has placed a death mark on Kay at the beginning of her story, forcing her to go on the run.
It's an incredibly wealthy
So they're tied to
organization.
the
They have
main
their own
narrative.
plans and are more of a new player to the galaxy and to the syndicates. We very much wanted to treat them like they're the new player on the block. So for Kay, she's really on the run from them and from Slero, so that they are actively hunting her down. She's using the other syndicates to kind of get what she needs to pull off a heist that's going to secure her freedom from them.
A deadly group not to be messed with, the Zeric Bash needed an ominous appearance to match, something that Yonkers and the team have worked hard on.
I mean, they look very threatening. That's definitely one of the starting points for their design. So we really wanted an imposing silhouette. For them, we really looked at the silhouette as well. So they have very heavy silhouettes. You can see they're very heavy helmets. If you encounter them, you will be intimidated. You know, we wanted them to look intimidating. And they
You
have
might
big
feel
helmets not to get
intimidated.
a
I
bigger
know that my
silhouette,
light.
but
Oh
also
wait,
it
wait, we don't
creates a
have
bit of a
lightsabers in
distance
this one.
between you and them. You don't know who's inside, you know. So that
Man,
was
I
really
can't
for
wait to
us
see what kind of
important thing that
skins
they
we've
would
got
feel
for
like,
the
yeah,
weapons
you
and
need to
everything.
get out of their way if you ever encounter them.
Much about Sleero and his gang remains a mystery for now, with Massive reluctant to give away many more details about your encounters with them.
That's because it's
We'll
tied to
learn
the main
much more
storyline.
about them though, and why they're at the core of Kay's story when Star Wars Outlaws releases on August 30th. We'll have more exclusive looks at Star Wars Outlaws for you throughout July, and for everything else, stick with IGN.
Well, that was a short one. They really didn't go too long on that one. I think that some of that was already covered in the Reputation and Wanted videos. This was just kind of an overview on the various factions and what they look like and what their visual look is distinguishing them from other things. They didn't mention the Galactic Empire, which it's not a syndicate per se, but it is one of the other faction groups, which they mentioned in the Reputation video, because that's where you get the wanted system, and it's more along the lines of just not getting caught by them doing anything that they would consider to be illegal in their eyes, because then that's when you get the wanted system, wanted status, and get pursued. I guess, we kind of already know how the missions are going to work with the syndicate, so they didn't cover that today. It sounded like it was mostly just an overview on what they look like, and sort of their overarching who they are, sort of like the foundational layers. It kind of felt like the show Bible for who the syndicates are in Star Wars Outlaws for anybody who might need to get up to speed quickly and easily. Um, I'm on board for all of it, guys. I can't wait to go to Jabba's Palace. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be playing this for sure as soon as it comes out, streaming it live here on YouTube and over on Twitch. We multi-stream every single day like we're doing right now, normally at 11 a.m. Central Time. Um, Star Wars Outlaws is looking pretty cool. Also, the actress behind, I'm going to go look her up on Twitter right now, for those of you who haven't been paying attention. The girl who plays Kay Vess, and I'm going to forget her name right now. I'm not going to be able to find it. Look this up. Kay Vess, actress. Humberly Gonzalez has been doing a ton of stuff on, I keep calling it Twitter, but over on X. Doing a lot of behind the scenes promotion shots and like stuff from when they were doing the mocap and everything else. She seems like a pretty cool kid. And I'm really happy to see more people doing the mocap, getting the chance to have the spotlight on them instead of being just invisible protagonists. Because a lot of the time, they did a good job with like God of War, having Christopher Judge come out. And he's obviously more of a known celebrity, but having people be able to be recognized for their work as mocap actors. Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios did a great job because they did way more than just voices. They did all the mocap and everything else, and we're seeing the same thing here with Star Wars Outlaws. So Humberly Gonzalez is her name. She's the one playing KVS. It's going to be a fun ride, everybody. Hopefully you'll be along to share the ride with me. That's it for today. I'm going to go forth and do some game streaming from here. But for everybody else who was tuning into the Star Wars thing, thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to check out the playlist down below if you want more information on Star Wars Outlaws. I will continue to produce coverage around it as things come up. And of course, we'll be playing it at the end of August. In the meantime, thanks for being here for the live stream, for the reaction video, everybody. Have a good day. May the Force be with you.